November 2017. A young 24-year-old girl from Nebraska was looking for companionship, so she took to Tinder. She found a date with another girl. Little did she know, there were more plans than just a date. This is a story of Sydney Loofe. Hello, happy Friday. This is Kelli at Kelli's Coffee and Crime Chat. Oh boy, still in the 80s here in Illinois, and we are on episode 50. I made it to 50 episodes. The end of this month will be 1 year from when I started my podcast. I cannot believe I've been doing this for a year and I am on episode 50. I am having a giveaway. Information is all up on my Instagram at Kelli's Coffee Crime Chat and the Facebook page Kelli's Coffee and Crime Chat. There are different ways to get entries and win a free t-shirt. Today I'm drinking Java Mama Choco Glazing. It was part of our donut collection. So yeah, I still have a lot of those K-cups left for my Keurig machine, and I am also drinking twisted tea. Oh my gosh, I am so stuck on this twisted tea. It says there's alcohol in it, but must not be very much, because I can like down 2 of these and I don't feel anything. But anyway, so I got my twisted tea and my Java Mama. And yes, it's the hot coffee. I have not made a fresh pitcher of my cold brew, but I have some on the way. I'm so excited. Rainforest Crunch is the cold brew that's on the way, and then I have the Zodiac Leo, which is a chocolate cappuccino, and that's also on the way. And I did get pumpkin spice, of course, because that is my favorite, and my favorite time of the year is coming up. Oh, I can't wait. So, today I have a story that I have heard of, but I forgot about it. Morbid Podcast did a really good episode on this one about 3 years ago, and I completely forgot about it until I was looking up killer couples. I'm kind of on a kick with killer couples, so next week might be something different. This is the story of Sydney Loofe. I got my sources are people.com, wikipedia.org, and nebraskapublicmedia.org. Many people probably have heard about this, and maybe not. I don't remember it being a very popular case. I just remember hearing it on Morbid, and I'm not sure if any other podcasts have done this one. But Sydney Loofe was born August 21st, 1993 in Broken Bow, Nebraska. Her parents were George and Susie, and I think I'm not sure if she had, I know she had siblings, a brother and sister, I think. She was great at fishing and loved playing basketball. She also enjoyed golf. But scoliosis kept her from her love of playing sports. She graduated in 2011 from, I don't know how to say this, it's spelled N-E-L-I-G-H, Neligh Oakdale High School, and she was raised, the family had moved to Neligh, if I'm saying that right, Nebraska, sometime during her growing up. I can't remember exactly when they moved there. She had a job at Menards, which is my husband's favorite store, of course. He even has t-shirts. So, excuse me, my throat. She suffered from anxiety and major depression. And boy, I can relate to this girl. It's like everything I'm reading about her, I can just relate to her. At age 24, she got on Tinder. Now, at this time of her life, she was renting a house on her own, and she took to Tinder to find companionship. Now, she ended up finding a woman named Audrey. And Sydney agreed to meet Audrey on a first date on November 14th, 2017. Now, Audrey's background, I'm going to go into her background here. She was raised in Leon, Iowa. When she was a baby, her father was murdered, and I did not get any other information on that. But she was big with running track. She was the fastest runner, one of the fastest runners on her relay team, and very good at basketball. So her and Sydney it sounds like they had some things in common. She was actually offered a scholarship to play college basketball, but drugs got in the way. She was cited for $400 for possession of drug paraphernalia. She actually had a daughter, but I never really found much about her daughter. She was married to a Freddie Panel, P-A-N-E-L-L, which resulted in a physically, emotionally, and sexually abusive marriage. She was pregnant during his abuse, so he would beat her while she was pregnant. She ended up leaving him and moving to Princeton, Iowa, where she tried to rebuild her life. Okay, now back to Sydney. Now, when Sydney agreed to go on this date with her, she asked Audrey twice if they would be the only two going out. I'm not sure why she asked that. I don't know if the way Audrey was talking, that it sounded like they were going to be in a group of people, but Audrey said yes. Now, the first date was held in a basement, which I don't understand, and it doesn't really say what happened. I don't know if they were just doing drugs or what the deal was, because Sydney went on a second date with her, and this was November 15th. Before leaving, she posted a Snapchat pic saying, "Ready for my date," and it said that in a caption under the photo. And she was all fixed up. I'm thinking she had clothes on. I don't know what the picture actually looked like. But this was the last post that she made. Now, the next day was November 16th, and Sydney failed to show up for work at Menards. And this was in Lincoln, Nebraska. Her mother got no response to her text when she tried to get a hold of her, so she reported her missing. A welfare check was done at her rental home. No evidence of any foul play. Nothing was out of place. Her belongings were there. Her purse and her car was also there. Her cat had not been fed yet that day. Now, as this was going on, Audrey's basement, which I'm not sure if that's where their first date, I'm thinking that's where their first date was, took place. But the basement was part of a duplex, and the other family on the other side was getting sick and breaking out in hives from a horrible odor of bleach. It was very, very strong. It was so strong that they were getting sick. So, also, they noticed that Audrey had her air conditioning on, and it was cold November. This is in Nebraska. Now, Sydney told people she had this date with Audrey, and one of her friends that she told was Brooklyn McChrystal. And she went to find out, Brooklyn went to find out about this Tinder date and who Audrey was. Well, she found her and messaged her. Audrey sent back her telephone number, and Brooklyn gave this number to the police. Good move there. I was thinking maybe she would have called her first, but the police found the duplex in Wilbur, Nebraska, and that's in Saline County, Nebraska. And this was the last place Sydney's phone pinged. Her phone pinged there at 8:32 p.m. They knocked, but got no answer. They were able to go in with a landlord's key. Now, right away, they smelled the bleach. They were able to get a search warrant the next day, but nothing was suspicious looking. Nothing. Come to find out, the tenants that lived at that address were a woman named Bailey Boswell, who used the name Audrey on Tinder, and a man named Aubrey with a B. That's Aubrey Trail is his last name. So those were the people who living in this duplex where Sydney's phone pinged last. Now, this couple here, Bailey and Aubrey, did a Facebook Live defending themselves by saying they smoked pot on their date. If I find this on YouTube, well, it says Facebook Live. For some reason, I was thinking it was on YouTube. I did a search on Facebook and couldn't find it because I wanted to put the link in the show notes in case anybody wanted to look it up. But they did a Facebook Live defending themselves, and they said they smoked pot on their date. This is Sydney and Bailey Boswell. They just did smoke some pot on their date, and she drove her to a friend's home. Bailey drove Sydney to a friend's home and then never saw her again. Okay. Aubrey Trail is on this Facebook Live, and you can hear him praying for Sydney to be found. Really. And it seems like when I heard this before, I was able to see the live because I kind of remember this. And Aubrey Trail is in a wheelchair, and I remember seeing that. I'm not sure exactly, but I know I've seen this somewhere with their Facebook Live. But he's in a wheelchair. I do not know why. I never found out what was wrong with him. So, Branson, Missouri. This is November 30th. Bailey Boswell and Aubrey Trail were arrested at their motel for fraud. Not for kidnapping or murder or anything like that. They were arrested for fraud. They did find maps, hiking shoes, and sleeping bags in their car because they were going to head to Mexico and escape. Now, December 4th and 5th, there were severed remains found with sex toys, clothes, and other items inside many 30-gallon trash bags along a gravel road. And this is north of Edgar, Nebraska, which is 1 hour west of Wilbur. And they were Sydney's. Now, her bra had been cut and her shirt, both were cut. They were found 3 months later somewhere else. I'm guessing it was somewhere else. And that was the same shirt that she had on in her final Snapchat post when she made that post that she was getting ready to go out on her date. Now, here's Aubrey Trail's history. At 2 years old, he was abused by his parents until his grandfather took him in and took care of him. Now, later in life, he returned to them, and I'm thinking it's because maybe his grandfather either died or got sick and couldn't take care of him anymore. He returned to him, and his stepfather abused him again. He ended up going into many foster homes, juvenile facilities, and then he even went to prison as a teenager for armed robbery. Now, when Bailey Boswell, if you remember me, remember me saying she had left her husband and she was trying to rebuild her life after that. Well, she found Aubrey Trail on some page, some dating page called Backpage, or some dating site. I've never heard of this. Backpage. It's no longer in circulation. It is a sex market, is what I read, sex market. And she got on there and she said she was looking for a sugar daddy. Now, I don't know what kind of money, but to me, a sugar daddy's rich. Okay, I don't know. I don't think Aubrey Trail's rich. But now the trial came up and Aubrey Trail confessed. Aubrey said he killed Sydney by himself and he wanted to be executed. This guy ends up having many, many different confessions. I don't even think I wrote them all down, but there's like a long story about it. And there was another confession. He said that Sydney died on a third date with Bailey, and that was on November 16th. Then he confessed that the three of them were participating in group sex and he accidentally choked Sydney. This is an excuse I hear so many times in these cases, that he accidentally choked her having sex. Now, he did tell the truth about throwing her phone into Wilbur's Czech, that's like Czechoslovakia, Czech cemetery, where they also found Sydney's license and credit card. And they did find her phone there. So he did tell the truth about that. 3 judges presided over the trial. They were both charged with murder in the first degree and improper disposal of Sydney's remains. Also conspiracy to commit murder was also added. And at the end of June, Aubrey had an episode at the trial. He said Bailey was innocent. And he started cursing everybody. And then he stabbed himself in the neck with a razor blade. That reminds me of the woman that Pam Huff or Hupp. Is it Hupp or Huff? Hupp. I don't remember. But you know who I'm talking about. I'm sure if everybody knows about her, The Truth About Pam, that was on TV, that series. I tell you. Anyway, that's just what it reminded me of. It appeared that it was a razor blade he had stabbed his own neck with. He had missed part of the trial, which was a big part of the trial, because of this injury. Falls City Grand Weaver Hotel. They must have stayed there. Now, Falls City is way down toward the bottom of Nebraska, almost to Iowa, and that is where the story of Brandon Tina took place, and that's what that took me back to. At this hotel, the clerks that worked there testified, and they said they saw a couple. They saw the couple with Sydney at the hotel weeks before Sydney disappeared at this Falls City hotel. And surveillance caught the couple checking in at a Best Western. Now, this is Aubrey and Bailey. Checking in at a Best Western in Lincoln, Nebraska, which is close to the Menards where Cindy worked. And that was on November 14th at 4 o'clock. Now, they went to Aardvark Antique Mall, bought a saw, weeder, and this is all on surveillance, food grinders. And right after the shopping trip, cell tower and data showed that they were waiting near Sydney's house before she left for work. Then they followed her. Aubrey Trail is entering the store, Menards, at noon, right before Sydney exits, and he is looking at her over his shoulder. I think he was waiting for her to leave so she wouldn't see him. He purchased an air freshener, cotton cord, Drano, protein bars, which was out of the whole. I didn't understand that. Maybe they just need to eat. I don't know. And a thermometer and lighters. Now, let's see my other page. I got a lot of pages here on this. That was at Menards. And then while Sydney was at work at Menards, while she was there, this is before she left, Home Depot surveillance showed the couple buying a foot-long hacksaw, wire snips, drop cloths, and a sharp utility knife with backup blades. Other surveillance shows them buying a tree saw, 30-gallon trash bags, and 2 gallons of Clorox bleach. Clorox and garbage bags were bought at a Dollar General a few hours before Sydney's second date from a grocery store. Or they bought it at Dollar General, and they also bought some at a grocery store. And that was the grocery store was the next day after the date. So it's like they must have bought more, thought they needed more, I guess. Well, the second date, after the second date, actually, that's when they killed her. And so they probably ran out and they needed more, so they went to the grocery store. The store's staff testified, and their phone, the couple's phone pings showed them traveling to and from the area where Sydney's remains were found. Authorities could not find the hacksaw and cutting tools. They did find handcuffs, rope, a leash, a dog collar, and sex toys. Aubrey admitted he used the electric wire to strangle Sydney because pieces of that had been found near her remains. Sydney's DNA was not on the other items. 3 women testified that Aubrey and Bailey liked to record their victims as they tortured and then killed them. Then profit from sales of the videos. So basically they were making snuff films. This was proven in letters. That they found, and Bailey ciphered to him while they were both in separate prisons, I guess, or separate jails. Bailey ciphered to him while they were in the Saline County jail, and then they deciphered the letters, and then they found out that these letters were about snuff films. The defense tried to say Sydney was depressed, used cocaine, and did different memes online of choking and rough sex. And they also talked about the couple's troubled childhoods, of course. It only took a few hours to convict Aubrey, conspiracy to commit murder, first-degree murder, and improper disposal of skeletal remains. He actually wanted a new trial, but the new trial was rejected. Bailey did get a change of venue In October of 2020, a jury convicted her of first-degree murder, conspiracy, and improper disposal of skeletal remains. June of 2021, Aubrey was sentenced to death. He tried to appeal by representing himself, but that was denied. He tried to repeal, but at the beginning he said he wanted to be executed, so I don't get that either. Bailey was sentenced to life. Now, this is unrelated. In an unrelated case, both were also sentenced for defrauding hundreds of thousands of dollars from interstate coin buyers. Bailey is an inmate at the Nebraska Correctional Center for Women in York. Aubrey is on death row. I cannot pronounce this. It's spelled Tecumseh. State Correctional Institution. I'm not even going to try to say it because I know it ain't going to sound right. But Facebook, there's a Facebook page called Finding Sydney Loofe was created, and this is when she was missing, 30,000 followers were on it, and it is now called Celebrating Sydney Loofe. The Set Me Free Project, anti-trafficking nonprofit organization, dedicated a $3,000 scholarship in Sydney's name to be granted to students pursuing careers in criminology, online safety, and social work, which I thought was awesome. Oh my gosh, there's a lot on this. You could look this up and find all kinds of information. I did not even take notes on all of the trial. So there's more here. There's more confessions, and there's some other parts of it, but it just got really ridiculous with all his confessions and all that was going on. So that is the story of Sydney Loofe. So it was a little bit longer, but pretty good coffee break. You got a 20-minute coffee break out of it. Let's see. I have not watched anything new on Netflix, Paramount Plus, and Max lately. So I don't have anything to talk about as far as shows, movies, for my update. I am still listening to my favorite podcasts, and I'm still binging Gore Report, which is one of my new favorites. And Death Do Us Part just did their 100th episode on the Menendez brothers, and I highly recommend to listen to that because there's a lot of things in that case that I did not know. So highly recommended on, it's their latest episode. That is A Death Do Us Part, and it is the Menendez brothers. Okay, that is all for today. Thank you everybody for all your support. And you can email me. I will have my email in the show notes. And that's all for today. Everybody have a wonderful weekend and stay cool. And I will see you next time.